Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the known world. I am Countess Lilia bint Azir, and I would like to welcome you to this interview between the crown between two roses. Sorry, that's me and my multiple personalities coming out. I'd like to thank their highnesses. I'm going to butcher your name, Prince Patric, and Princess Sara. Before we start anything, we always acknowledge our First Nation people. So Candace Beatrice is going to start with that.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and just bear with us while I do the acknowledgement of country. Thank you. Good nobles, we come together in spirit of fellowship, deepening of our skills, sharing of knowledge, and a shared interest in the truth to find truth through experimental archaeology and historical inquiry. It is in this context that I, Countess Beatrice Maria Malatesta, on behalf of my kingdom, acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands upon which we gather. We recognise their continuing connection to land and culture, and we pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and the elders from other communities who are joining us today. Thank you so much, Your Highnesses, for joining us. It's so exciting to finally get here.
Yay!
Thanks for having us.
So, first question, Principality of the Mist.
So we start all our interviews, Your Highnesses, with asking you about the device of your principality or your kingdom and what kingdom you're actually a part of.
You said our device?
No, so which kingdom are you a part of, and which area of your kingdom?
Oh, we are part of the Kingdom of the West. And if it's geographically speaking, we are known as like the Greater Bay Area. So we span all the way up Napa, all the way down through San Jose and a little farther south, Monterey, that sort of area, Greater Bay Area.
Nice. So very beachy. Do you have a lot of events by the seaside?
My favorite event, one of them, happens to be right on the Monterey Bay. And you walk about 20 feet from the field and all you see is water. And if you're there on a great day, whale spouts, it's exceptional.
Oh, that just sounds amazing. Asking you about amazing. Wow. Okay, so our next question is your device of your principality. So do you have any history behind that and possibly the name, where the mists have come from?
Where the mists come from. Around here, the mist is referred to as the cradle of kingdoms. The idea being that we inhabit the area where the SCA started. So within this principality, all other kingdoms in some form came from. As far as the device for the principality, well, it's behind me, as you can see.
Water, and if you're there on a great day, whale spouts.
That's your device, Patrick. Our device is that school we were talking about.
Fair enough.
Right.
Wow.
And we brought up a picture, and I talked to the historian, and you know, it just sort of happened. We can't quite find the history. I would love it if somebody had it and would send it to me, but we dug and looked.
That would be amazing if somebody could put, who does know the history, if they could put it in the comments of the video, because we would be quite interested in that as well. Yeah. So how long has the mist been around?
Well, we are the, 48th Prince and Princess of the Mist?
Oh, we are 82.
Right.
The first Coronet tournament was in 79.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's been a continuous line of a prince and princess every 6 months for 82 rains. Well, a little more than that actually right now, since we've been raining a little longer than is customarily the norm.
We would be at 82, 83, 85 now.
Wow. So how long have you been on the thrones?
About a year and 3 or 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we've been raining for a few months before the world went crazy, and everybody had to stay home. So we had at least a taste of what an actual rain is like. For both of us, this is our first rain as Prince and Princess. So we had a taste, and then things just got weird and very online.
We were just getting to all the good stuff. Like we were a month away from Coronet, right before we were days away from our big war, right before the camping event started, right before like the things that bring us all together, those big sort of events. So.
Oh, wow.
And we were just getting comfortable in the roles too. You know, the first few months you're always wondering, am I doing it right? What's expected and all of that sort of stuff. We were just starting to relax and get used to it. And well, you know, we got to do it online.
So this is your first rain?
It is.
Wow. It would be really challenging. Longest rain ever.
At some level, I guess there is no getting ready for this sort of event. So whether it be your first or third rain, you would bring a bit more to the table knowing what it's normally like. And so you know the difference between a normal rain and this, but otherwise I don't think anybody would be quite prepared.
I agree.
Yeah, no, that would be. How are you keeping enthusiastic with all of this happening? Because I know over in the US, it's very, very different to what has happened here. So we've been very lucky to be able to go back to events across most of our kingdoms. Yeah.
Australia, I've heard a lot of good things about as far as how you guys have handled the whole COVID crisis. The US has not been so fortunate. US being the US seems to want to break all sorts of records. And so we have not been able to return to events yet. And I don't foresee us doing so until there is a shot for everyone, essentially.
We're fortunate enough to have there every couple of weeks we throw up a invitation, a Zoom link to our local BART practice. BART is it's called Bay Area Rapid Transit. It is our public transit system. And we have a fighter practice there underneath the train tracks. It's because it's an elevated system there. So we throw up a link so anybody can come to that. We all hang out. Usually His Highness and his squires bring their G&Ts. Oh no, I'm sorry, you're not G&Ts. You are ginger beer and Patric.
It's a gin mule. Basically, it's a Moscow
mule.
Mule with gin.
And we have a great time. We also have, we are very lucky that the Mists right now is hosting the Crepeau tournament, which is a tournament that has been unbroken. We're coming up, I think we're like 4 months away from 300 months consecutively fighting this tournament. We are very lucky that we have fighters that live in the same house that are able to continually do this. So that's once a month. There are little get-togethers. The Baronesses of Westermark have a solar. We do have some virtual events, so we're very lucky that we can still reach out and talk and be in touch with the populace.
Wow, so very, very engaged populace. That's amazing.
They're wonderful.
Yeah. Have you done many online courts or activities?
Done a couple of, we've had, I think, 2 online courts with the king and queen.
Yeah, we've been a part of their court. Absolutely, yeah. We have way more fun when we're all together.
I think that's so true of so many areas, and the amount of kingdoms and principalities and baronies that we have interviewed. Yeah, absolutely the same message. We can't wait to get back and do face-to-face stuff again.
Well, yeah, I mean, we all want the face-to-face stuff, and to that end, I think all of the online stuff we try to do, and never enough, is to remind everyone that we are all still part of the same game, and we're all still part of the same community, and that it will come back, and that we will all be together again, having the same fun or possibly new fun that we used to have.
Yeah. So Lil's just going to jump back out and jump back in. She's having some technical issues, so we will see her again soon. Yeah, I think for us, it is definitely a bit of a challenge, but on the other hand, this is an absolute bonus for us as Roses, because we get to interview so many people from around the world. It's just amazing.
Well,
And finding out.
I certainly hope that all this stuff we're doing online, you are doing, we're doing, everyone is doing, doesn't stop when the crisis is over. I think it does bring some stuff to the table that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
One of the things I regularly take part in, and it's open to anyone, is the Great Fighters of YouTube. A few people got together and got the great idea of like, well, we can't fight, but we can watch videos of people fighting from days past. So every Tuesday we get together and we analyze or look at videos and, comment on it and discuss the social aspects of fighting in different kingdoms and different areas. And that has brought a lot of fighters who wouldn't ordinarily know each other together. And we're all like already planning, like the day we can go to Penzik again, we should get together and have our own, a little get together of the Great Fighters of YouTube stuff. And we're all of the same mind of like, this should not end. This is good for everyone to be doing this. And I think that the whole online thing does bring value that wasn't there before, a connection that others didn't have.
Absolutely. I know that we have one of our ladies down in the Barony of Romany who hosts the Lockhart Bardic Showcase. And she does a Bardic evening on Tuesdays, and we have people from across the known world that come and join that. And we've also got members of our populace who may not have the opportunity to travel, that are joining in with all of the universities and all of those competitions and everything. It is just opened up the known world, and that sharing of knowledge is just phenomenal. Yeah, so it's definitely, I know it's helped with Lockhart, with how small we are, to find out how big the rest of the known world is. Hi, she's back. Yay.
Welcome back.
Thank you. And I can hear you.
Yay.
Oh, great. And we can hear you too.
Perfect. Thank you.
So even on a personal note, it's been fun deepening friendships with people, because
Yes.
how often are you at an event and you're like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here? So you're actually able to have longer conversations, maybe challenging conversations that you might not be able to talk about at events, or just really work on those connections. And that has been awesome. There are so many people who I've met for 10 minutes, and during this entire thing, I am now really good friends with. It's been kind of awesome.
Yeah, it has helped so much cement the family and expand the family.
Yeah.
As you get to know Sara, what you will discover is she knows everybody. And if she doesn't know them yet, she will. And it's truly amazing.
Well, on that note, I think we should jump into some origin stories. So,
All right.
Prince Patric, how did you get started in the SCA?
All right. Well, I grew up in Montreal in Canada, province of Quebec. And
does that mean you can speak French?
I was, say again?
Does that mean you can speak French?
It does. In fact, French is my first language. I'm just a hack at English, really. Well, the truth is, I've been living in the States long enough that my English is substantially better than my French at this point. Although, you know, a month or two at home and I'll be right back up to it. Okay, so I grew up in Montreal, and I was an avid board gamer, D&D, role-playing games, and all that sort of stuff. And I also worked at a university, which gave me access to internet when most people didn't have access to internet. And there was a bulletin board sort of thing that had the Rialto in it, which was the SCA online back in the day. And I would read it, trying to figure out exactly what this was about, because there wasn't a lot of documentation and you're just kind of reading other people's conversations. And I kind of figured it out, but I always figured like, oh, well, that's far away. That's really cool, but it's in the US. It's, you know, hundreds of miles and stuff. There's nothing like that here. And one of the gaming stores that I frequented had a fellow there whom we talked to a lot because he was fun to chat with and so on. And he was very knowledgeable in games and stuff. And at some point, he just made a side reference to the SCA. And we said, wait, what? You know? It's like, yeah, I used to be in the SCA. It's like, you lived in the States? It's like, no, here in Montreal. And he explained that it actually existed in Montreal, and I had no idea. And he still knew someone who was involved, so he gave me an introduction. And basically, my introduction was going to some fellow's backyard for a fighter practice. And immediately, you know, they offered to put me in armor, and I said, sure. And put on armor, and I tried to hit people, did not succeed, but they certainly managed to hit me. And I took it as I was taking off the armor. They say, "So what do you think?" And so like, "Do you meet once or twice a week?" You know, I was really looking forward to doing more of this. This basically had been waiting for me, and what a shame! I think I was around 24 when I discovered it, and I was just so amazed by all of this, that people did this. It was something that I'd been dreaming of ever since, you know, I was a young boy reading Tolkien kind of thing. And so I went to events. My third event, I believe it was Penzic 20. And what an eye-opener that was. You know?
I bet.
And if I can describe it, it would be like you go to Penzic 20, and well, first of all, just have either of you been to Penzic?
Yes. Yeah.
So you may have shared you may have shared the experience of driving there, and as you're getting there, you're still on the highway, but you see a bunch of tents almost as far as the eye can see, and you realize that this is it, and you're finally there after. Well, for me, it was like a 12-hour drive or so. And all right, that's amazing to begin with. And from that point on, it was always, oh my God, this is really happening. Like, you know, somebody knocks on my tent and says, you better come out here, you'll want to see this. And it was essentially the declaration of war between the East and the Mid. And I'm watching this happen, and the breaking arrows and that sort of stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And the whole event, I think it was a week and a half for me at the time, was just always being stunned that really, really cool stuff was happening all around me. And I would want everyone who's never been to go to Penzic and experience that sort of feel. That cemented everything for me that, you know, it's like, yeah, this is definitely something I want to be a part of. And, you know, years went by, and somewhere around 97, I was knighted. And very shortly after that, I moved from Montreal to the Bay Area for work. And not long after that, work was very intense. But on top of that, I'd been diagnosed with arthritis, and very painful. And so with work and the arthritis, I decided to take a break from the SCA because it was almost impossible to swing a sword at that point. And so I took 14 years off.
Wow.
In that time, medication got better for psoriatic arthritis. And so once I figured that, all right, things feel better. I feel like I can move and do stuff again. And I kid you not, for 14 years, at least once a week, I'd wake up from a dream of being at an event. And it was vivid. And it was like, oh my God, clearly I still miss this. So I came back to the SCA, and that was about 6 years ago or so. And since then, I've been fairly active, I'd say. And that brings us to pretty much here. Your turn, Sarah.
Woohoo! Unfortunately, mine is not as joyous of a story, but the best part is it ends up me meeting everybody. So that's the joyous part. So let's start with some nice first. I was living in New York City, and in New York City, I'm what they call a retail fixer. My job is to go and fix problems in retail. I was up in a stock room, and I fell 12 feet from a ladder. So I pretty much have destroyed most of my right knee and my right ankle, which the doctor said, oh, we'll fix your knee, that's fine, but just not your ankle. So I was unable to care for myself, especially living in New York City. So most people were like, oh, public transit. And I was like, well, let's break down public transit. I lived on the second floor, so no elevator. So down the stairs. My building had 2 gigundous stairs out front too. And then it was 2.5 blocks to the subway. I lived in a stop without an elevator. So down 3 flights of stairs, where you then wait for your train and go into a crowded train where nobody will stand up, even if you are walking with a cane or whatnot. It's rare they give you your seat. So then you have to wait however long. And it's essentially the same thing going back up. No elevators. So when you aren't walking, it's not a great city to live in. So my parents were very gracious, and they said, why don't you come home and we will take care of you? And I did. So I flew back to California. I just had my 4th anniversary of my fall in October. And my really dear friends, Moira of Kent and Dawood Ibn Ali, had just started back up in the SCA as well after a really long hiatus. And they're like, well, you've got nothing to do. Why don't we bring you to 12th night? And I was like, sure. I'm a theater kid. I love to dress up. No problem. So I went and bought 2 really nice bottles of wine. They parked me in my wheelchair in like the 3rd row, and I sat and drank with a peer all day. And
perfect.
Why the heck not? It was really fun, and I got hooked really quickly. That very night of my first event, I met. So it was Moira and Dawood. I met Kelsey Aylesworth and Sir Neil Greenstone, who have now, like that night, they are now like my family. She is my pelican. I'm her protege. Like we all bonded so quickly. The next event, I just started meeting people, and I was like, oh my God, I love these people. I want them, and I love them. And now you can't keep me away. It's a problem.
Why would we want to?
You're so nice.
It's the bonding. It really is. And for everyone that we speak to, and even ourselves, it's really the people that keep us in here. We love history. There is that commonality across that, regardless of what area of research you're in or what you're into, but it really is about the people and the family that you make, the big dysfunctional family.
Mm-hmm. And like Patric and his squires and we'll hang out outside of the SCA. I hang out with all of my friends too. Like it transcends just being at an event.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's incredible.
So what are your personas?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
What is your persona?
My persona. Oh, that's interesting, actually. When I started in the SCA, I had intention to be a French 14th, 15th century fop kind of thing. That's what I wanted to do. But back in the day, yeah, why not?
Sarah's learning lots of things right now.
I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, my heritage is partially French as well in real life. So I was thinking, all right, let's follow that line some. So I picked a name. Well, actually, let's start with the name. When I went to an event, I didn't know. I mean, I knew that people had two names: their real name and the name they use within the SCA. But I didn't know what rules there were about any of that and so on. And at my first or second event, somebody asked me, "What's your name?" I said, "Patrick." And they said, "Patrick what?" And I said, "Just Patrick." And that stuck for a while. Patrick, just Patrick. And that lasted until, and my buddy who joined with me was Norman the Saxon. We'll leave that there. But the name stuck with me until I was getting squired to Duke Master Randall. And we were discussing, you know, if I would be a good fit and, you know, if everybody in the household would be amenable and all that sort of stuff. And Karen, Duchess Karen, was like, well, you know, I have no objection to you joining us, but the name's got to go. So she gave me a list of names and said, you can pick from these or you can come up with something else, but you've got to come up with something else. You know? So I came up with Patrick de Grey, which fit what I wanted back then. And as the years went by, as far as getting, you know, garb and armor and all that sort of stuff, in the Northern Army area of the East, which is where I was, it was all Viking. There was no getting away from the Viking. I mean, you're going to get armor that looks slightly Viking-ish, garb that looks Viking. Everything else, I mean, you didn't have the access to internet like you do now, where you could shop online and find exactly what you want, or someone can make you exactly what you want. So I kind of defaulted to Viking. So, you know, that kind of stuck. I'm still Viking today, you know? And I am enjoying it.
There's kind of a bit of a theme, I think, across Canada of the Viking.
It goes all the way to Vancouver, but certainly there's quite a bit of it.
That's what Patrick describes. He's a poor country knight.
Yeah. Yeah, my squires actually look better in armor than I do, which is a point of pride, you know, but it's also a point of shame. So, you know, take it as you will. I should try to look better, and I am. But they had all started, they're actually, strangely enough, both 14th, 15th century personas, which is what I had aimed for way back in the day. So, you know, they succeeded.
Princess Sara, tell us a little bit about yours.
So when I first started, I think, is that a drinking thing? Do I have to say that, or drink when I say that? When I first started, sort of how my friends were trying to teach me a little bit about personas, like, and I was just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I can be anybody who I want to be. So they were like, just start looking through clothes. So that's what I started doing. I got on the Google and I went through pictures of clothes, and finally I stopped and I said, that one. And I think her name is Mary of Habsburg. It's a beautiful green Burgundian with these, and I went, that one. And so I pretended to do that for a little bit. And then I was like, but look at all the other things. I'm too theatrical to do just one thing. So I dress how I want and when I want. If it's cool, I might wear Grecian. If it's warmer, I might wear my Germans. It's whatever sort of tickles my fancy that day. And I kind of like that. The choices are endless, and that sort of gives me a little bit of excitement because I like clothes. And all the things, you know.
Lil and I are very much the same.
Yeah, how is it in Australia? Are there strong personas? Are there well identification? Is there a specific period that people tend to adhere to?
No, it's really varied. So we do have players who do from Greek right through to the early Cavalier, early 1600s, and everything in between. There are definitely waves that go through, and we do have quite a bit of the dress for the area that you're in. So it's because it's all dependent on which group you live in, which area of Australia. So where I live, generally down in the nation's capital in Canberra, it's quite hot during summer, but quite cool during winter. I won't say cold because I know where you guys live. But the average, so it will average gets below 0 in winter, whereas where Lilia lives in Brisbane, the average in winter is about 10 degrees, so around 40 in winter, and then up to 90s, 100 in summer.
Well, it's not too different from Northern California, actually.
No, not really, and it's quite humid where she is, whereas where I am is up in the mountains, and it's quite dry. So yeah, it just depends. There's a lot of Roman, a lot of Viking in summer that happens.
Which is kind of odd when you think about it, because the Vikings tended to be in cold areas. So they have the whole layering thing going, you know?
Yeah, we kind of just mangle it a little bit with like a chemise and a hung rock over the top.
I mean, how many people do we know that just go out in a tunic, some roost pants, like, and they call it a day? Because it's one layer of linen. That's quite lovely.
Yeah. But Lilia is a laurel in Ottoman. So, and she's actually quite influential in that Eastern garb aspect. And there's a lot.
I like that. More is better. That's right up my alley too. More is better.
Yeah.
I ran.
Well, you can
you can layer it up.
Practice.
Absolutely. Sorry.
I ran a practice at BART for a number of years. And so we have a mix of different people, and a lot of them are also Norse personas. And what was interesting to me was, you know, being from Canada, the cold, it doesn't bug me that much at all, because it doesn't register as cold compared to where I grew up. And a number of Californians who are Vikings would show up, and it would be in winter here, and it would be around, I suppose, 10, maybe 8, 10 degrees. Maybe a little less than that. It was nighttime. And they would hesitate at donning the armor, because they're like, well, I don't know, it's kind of cold. I don't really want to strip down, put on the armor. It's like, what kind of Vikings is this?
Warm weather ones.
Exactly, yeah. Apparently.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I am a bit of a fan of Viking garb. It's been quite a predominant, even though I have a 16th century Italian name. Yeah.
Are you having fun? That's what matters.
Yeah. And it's one of the things that I do love about the SCA. I really do. So, what is one of your favorite memories of your time in the SCA?
Sara?
One of my favorite things, and she's probably gonna get really upset when I talk about this, because we talk so much about keeping the glimmer in people's eyes, and one of the ways of doing that is seeing it through a newcomer's eyes. And so at my first event, I remind her of this all the time. It drives her nuts. Sir Helga, and at the time he wasn't knighted, but he is now knighted, Sir Anthony. They were Prince and Princess of the Mists, started a really, really cool program called the Newcomers Program. And they brought newcomers up in front of the Prince and Princess and gifted them with like a starter kit. So you got a cup I got a bag with some really nice embroidery on it and a hat pin. And now it's kind of like we give bowls and hats and silverware. We get all kinds of things to newcomers, really get them started. And
My goodness.
I call myself a graduate of her program. But just going up there at my first event, getting on my knees before the prince and princess, that was incredibly memorable. Not something I'm likely to forget, but it also, it's a way for her and I to connect. And, you know, if ever I'm having a bad day or she's having a bad day, you kind of have that moment, and it's like, this is what we do for people. And this is that sparkle and that gleam. It lives, it continues to live on. And since I still consider myself new, almost what my 4-year anniversary is coming up. It's just a constant reminder to us and to everyone that it's all of that still there, that joy lives on.
Wow.
That's a great memory. I love it.
Yeah, that is amazing. It's something that I haven't heard of before. And I love the idea behind it. And I think there will probably be some groups or some of our Shadowlands stealing that idea.
You should, and let us know. The East sends stuff sometimes for like our kids' chests or stuff like that. I'll send you stuff if you need some help getting started. I have 2 boxes in my garage full.
Posting it across the infested seas, that's actually quite an expensive bit. I know that.
You guys are worth it.
Oh, thank you.
As for me, I mean, I already talked about my first Penzic, which was absolutely amazing. But certainly my new favorite moments since I got to wear the hat would definitely be the amazing, it's kind of in line with what Sara was talking about, the amazing joy of giving an award to a new person. Usually an AOA. AOAs are, I think, one of our favorite awards to give out. It's just, you know, you're basically telling someone, we like you, you're part of us, please come back, you know? And I think for the SCA, there's nothing better than giving out AOAs. So anytime I give one of those, that's my immediate favorite memory.
We had the great joy of giving somebody an 808 who had been in the society for 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing.
And I was like, this is a reminder too, to look at your word recommendations and don't assume people have things. And then you also get the person that maybe has been there 3 or 4 months, and you get to hold their hand and look in their eye, and it's very special.
Yeah, we because Lockhart was a crown principality, and the Crescent Isles, New Zealand, there was the Barony of Sutherland was Kingdom of Caid. So we actually have quite a lot of our older members don't have an AOA because of that. So we've got quite a few. Their first award was a service award, or I know that we actually, when Lilia and Bran reigned, they gave an award to one of our longtime members in Riverhaven, and they gave him his court barony. He was an intermittent player, but had been playing for over 20 years, did flaming trebuchets every Northern War, and it was his first award.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a thing though, when, you know, if you manage to squeak by or slip by unnoticed by whoever's reigning, and you make it a couple of years, a few years without getting an award, an AOA, let's say, nobody's going to think that you're missing it. They're all going to assume that you have it. And so that's how you end up with people who've been in for decades without an AOA.
Yeah.
I remember when Moira got her AOA, because she's been playing. They played for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, maybe a little bit longer, then took a big break and they came back. Somebody literally said when they started the speech for the AOA, somebody literally was like, "You've got to be kidding me," because they had no clue. People just assume.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder. Go look at your award recommendations.
How long, so I'm going to ask on average, because it's quite a conversation over here. How long on average does it take for a member to get an AOA in your principality?
Oh, well, if I have anything to do with it, it might be, whatever it takes to get them to 2 or 3 events.
Okay.
I don't think it should take a long time. I think it's basically an introduction to what we do. So I don't think there's like some sort of bar that has to be met. It's a welcome, we want you to stick around. So apart from my desires, I don't know. Sarah, do you have any idea?
Well, it was sort of always explained to me that that maybe when you start giving back, and most people, that's very quickly because everybody helps each other and everybody. So once you really kind of start giving back in that sense, that's a really great time. I've seen people get it at their first event. I've seen people it take 3 or 4 months, but once it's, once you're there consistently and you start giving back, that's sort of how it was explained to me. But I kind of agree with Patrick. When I see somebody a couple times and I'm going, hey, I see you. That's a good time for it.
And I don't know what it's like with you guys. I assume it's the same. You go to an event and there's some new people there, and often the new people are the ones helping other people put up their tents or setting stuff up or what have you. And, that to me right away shows that they are interested in being part of the community. Why not reward that?
It will average 1 to 2 years here.
Really?
Yeah.
So roughly how many events?
It depends. It really does. We are also quite vast, and there is a heavy reliance on the local groups,
Okay.
so whether it's a baron and baroness or peers amongst the shires and colleges. Yeah. So
is that perceived as a long time by the populace, or is it something they're comfortable with?
I think it's kind of accepted. Anything over 2 years is a long time. So I got mine after 4 years in the society. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would try and, because I know we don't do the things for the shinies, but sometimes it's nice to feel seen. So how does that feel as someone who's been working and contributing, doing all the things that you're supposed to constantly be, I don't want to say hidden, that's not right, but overlooked or have to meet a bar to get an award? How does that feel?
It can be disheartening, absolutely. But at the end of the day, I do this because I love my friends, I love the people, and
all the right reasons.
Yeah, and I also, so I'm very much a service person, and I run events because I like to see the joy on people's faces and make it about other people.
Was it your first award when you got your AOA?
I had gotten baronial awards. I gotten no, that was my first award. Yeah, because then I got my baronial award, baronial service award.
And see, I find that if you want to make people feel included, then getting them have to come up to the royals in court is part of that. That's part of the experience of being in the SCA, And I think, the sooner we can do that within reason, the better.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm very much for the award system. I as Crown, Lil and I, we both loved giving out awards. We kind of gave each other awards as well. So I received the Queen's token, the Lockhart Order of Grace, and Henri and I gave her we inducted her into the Pelican. So yeah, it is absolutely those are the highlights. But yeah, sometimes there are those people that get overlooked quite extensively, including peers. I have to say, I made an assumption the other night that I assumed somebody was a pelican, and they're not. Like, well, maybe we should do something about that. Yeah.
Write a recommendation letter. That's helpful.
Yeah. So as Prince and Princess, Do you have to get permission from the Crown of the West to give those awards, to give an AOA?
I've never asked for permission.
Okay.
So I guess not.
We can give leaves of merit pretty much down. When you start getting up into, like, I can't give a court barony, etc. But what Her Majesty Vera and I try and do too is there are lots of people that are very worthy of these awards, and it terrified me that we were all going to go to the same event and have like scrolls made, and we'd all be giving the same award to the same person. So I try and give her a heads up a little bit, and her and I kind of talk to make sure, like, she's stolen one from me, and I've stolen one from her. So we try and just talk to make sure we aren't giving the same people the same thing.
That's always a very good plan.
Communication is key.
Yes.
One of the things that Sarah's very good at is querying the database to see who already has an award or doesn't yet have an award. Because, honestly, we find worthy people, but again, because, they've been in for a number of years, it's easy to assume that, oh, they've already got this for sure. But Sara is very good at actually making sure that they already have it. And which is a great pleasure because it gives us something to do in court, right? Giving away awards is really what we're here for. So yeah, Sara is the backbone to all of that.
He's so good to me. I don't deserve Patrick. He's pretty wonderful.
It's awesome when you get that kind of relationship as sitting on the throne, especially for as long as you guys have.
We're just really lucky that we were good friends before all this. We camp and we have the same war unit, so we get to camp in the same camp and hang out and really get to know each other. So I think we were really, really lucky that we've never had a problem or a hiccup, and we just get along really well. I get along with his wife really well. I love her and all of his squires, so it works really well.
I had to ask her friend if I could fight for Sara, since they already had a kind of a deal or a relationship of fighting for each other, or her fighting for Sara for coronet and crown kind of stuff. So I basically poached Sara from someone else.
She wasn't fighting due to an injury, so but yeah, we had to ask because my first relationship was with her, and that it means the world to me. These relationships, they are there's more that tie people together than just a friendship. And you guys know when you reign with someone, you are tied deeply.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Just going back one step to awards. So we spoke to Ragnar and Brynhild yesterday from Sinagua, and they made a comment about a wooden swan. You made a token.
I made a wooden swan?
Was it you guys?
I mean, it could be. I'm magical, but I don't.
For their investiture.
That was almost a year ago. I can barely remember what I did yesterday.
Yeah, they really got the short end as far as reigns.
Them
They
and yeah.
stepped up as all of this started.
They went to 2 events, which were our events. They hung out with us. I know. They're so wonderful. Did I give them? I will text them when we're done.
I'm sure you'll hear about it now.
I'm surprised my phone is not lighting up right now.
Yeah.
What did they tell you? What is the wooden swan?
Yeah, you have to watch the video.
Oh, I haven't. Yeah, I was working. Sorry.
Yeah. So then your phone will blow up. It's okay. So one of the final questions that we do ask is, what is your favorite campfire story to tell?
Patrick, I have to think of one.
What is our favorite campsite?
Campfire story.
Oh, campfire story. Ooh, boy. Let's see. Okay. This is a Penzic. I can't remember if it was 23 or 24. there was a group, and I sadly I can't remember which group it was, had sponsored a hunt. So it was in the woods of Penzik, and there were animals in the woods, other fighters that had tags, and there were different animals, and there was different scores for different animals, and you would make a hunting party and go into the woods and try to hunt as many animals as you can and accrue some score. And so my hunting party, or the party I was a part of, was Duke Master Randall, my master. Let's see, Tierlock, the Profane. I'm trying to remember his SCA name. Frederick, who I think at the time was a squire as well, and myself. And we went into the woods. And we're hunting. We're doing fairly well. We're killing stuff as we go. And what is made clear before the hunt starts is different animals have a different number of blows before they consider themselves dead. So, you know, like a bear might be 3 or 4 blows that they take, and so on. And so we were used to having to hit them a few times, but most of them fell after 2 or 3 blows. And we are set up, and there's multiple animals, and Duke Master Randall hauls off and hits a fellow in the head, and the guy doesn't take it, so we figured it takes multiple blows. He hits him again in the head. Master Tierlock hits him with a pole arm to the head again, and the guy's still standing. And so we're all a little like, whoa, what is this? Master Randall again tees off, hits him, and unbeknownst to any of us, we all somehow coordinated all at the same time. As Master Randall hits him, Tierlock hits him, Frederick hits him, and I hit him, all within kind of, and he falls down hard. We grab his tag, as we're supposed to do, and he's a rhino. And I think it was something like 9 hits or something like that. And like, oh, well, sorry, dude, we say as we walk away. And he is leaving the forest as we're also exiting for, I can't remember what refreshments or something. And he's heard saying, I don't want to be a rhino no more. Poor fellow. Totally undeserved. So that's one that we used to say around the fire.
I don't know about a fire for me, but I say this, I tell this story sometimes when we have our war unit, we have sort of a formal dinner the Saturday night of whatever war we are, whatever big war. And when I first started hanging out with the members of Ermine Company, I have been told many, many, many stories about this man named Radnor. I'm not sure if you know Radnor.
He has visited Lockhart a few times.
Yes. He is a rather tall, very handsome gentleman. And everybody was just sort of warning me, and they're saying, Sarah, just look, you're not going to be able to do anything about it. Something is physically going to happen to you when you meet Radnor. And I was like, what's going to happen? Is he going to kiss my cheek? Am I going to like fall over? What? I was a little scared. So my first West on tier, I had heard Radnor was going to be there, and I was really scared. But I remember I was out at the tavern or somewhere, and I come rolling back in at 2 a.m, and there's Radnor and Patric putting up their tent right next to mine. And I walk up, I think I bypassed Patric, and I walked right up, and I was like, I assume you're Radnor. And he says, oh, yes, I am, my lady. He kissed the back of my hands, and my knees buckled. And so I have in turn coined that the Ragnar effect. So it's just something that happens when you meet Radnor, the Radnor effect.
Oh, wow. I will, I'll have to share that story with Duchess Eva, because she's good friends with Radnor.
Well, I know him too, and he usually turns red. So
Excellent.
Radnor is good people.
Very much so.
But I will tell you that traveling with Radnor is interesting. Usually when we go to West Antilles or the Great Western War, I travel with Radnor. We're both in the car. And let's say to West Antilles, which we've done a number of times, it's about an 8-hour drive. Unless you travel with Radnor. We've had it like, I always plan, like, I want to get to West Antilles somewhere around maybe, 3 or 4 o'clock p.m. So, we can relax, have a few beers, set up the tent, all that sort of stuff. That never happens, first of all. I mean, Radnor will leave around 2, 3 in the afternoon, even though you plan much earlier. That's just, Radnor is a force of nature and things just don't always go the way you plan. One particular time we drove and we're looking like, all right, considering when we left 8 hours, we're going to get there around 11 o'clock midnight, something like that. We got there at like 3 in the morning.
This was the same West Antilles where I met you.
We took the absolute wrong way. We drove over the Forbidden Mountain. Animals in the mountain were looking at us like, what the hell are they doing here? It took us way longer through harrowing travel. And we both came off the mountain wondering if we actually had died on the mountain and this is just a new version of ourselves that are continuing to the event. That was a long discussion. But yeah, we arrive and he wakes up his squires to put up the tent and whew, and it never fails. If you plan to get there for 4, you're going to get there for midnight, for
4
sure.
4 a.m.
Yeah.
That it kind of sounds like some of the travels that happen across Lockup, depending on where you go. So, mainland Lockup, Australia, it kind of fits the USA upside down. So yeah, quite significant distances, and the same with the Crescent Isles, and that doesn't include Tasmania, Innisfail, right down the bottom. So yeah, it's some interesting places and interesting travels, and some of those stories I'm not going to tell.
Like wee beastie stories. Wee beastie stories.
Always stories, but this is about you guys.
I'm like, let's hang on. I want to hear some stories.
Unfortunately, that is our time up.
Well played.
So thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. It has been an absolute joy and so much entertainment to get to know you both and sharing your knowledge of your principality and making the known world just a little bit smaller and a little bit bigger at the same time. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Patric's too.
And thank you so much for watching today. We will be back during the week with some more interviews of the barons and baronesses across Lockup. So keep an eye out for our events coming up, and remember to like, share, and subscribe to our page. And until next time, we will see you later. Bye.
Bye.